I'd like to call the Tuesday, July 1st, Duval City Council meeting to order. Would you all please rise and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please take the roll.
Yeah. Mayor Overlander.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mercer.
Here.
Councilmember Owen.
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer. Councilmember McHenry. Councilmember Supple.
Here.
Councilmember Naplin.
Here.
Councilmember Kukoc.
Here. We have a quorum. Are there any additions or corrections to this evening's agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve this evening's council agenda?
So. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Moving right on to proclamations of the evening, we have two tonight. First one that I will read into the record is celebrating Independence Day. Whereas on July 4th, 1776, the United States of America declared its independence, affirming the fundamental principles of freedom, democracy, and equality upon which our nation was founded. And whereas the 4th of July provides an opportunity for all residents to honor the courage and vision of our founders and the generations of Americans who have worked to preserve the liberties we cherish. And whereas Independence Day is a time for community gathering, reflection, and celebration, as we recognize the enduring strength of our democracy and the shared values that unite us as one people. And whereas the city of Duval is proud to join communities across the nation in marking this historic occasion through festivities that foster civic pride and togetherness. And whereas we extend our deepest gratitude to those who have served and continue to serve our country to defend and uphold the freedoms that we celebrate on this day. Now, therefore, I, Amy Okerlander, Mayor of the City of Duval, do hereby proclaim July 4th, 2025, Independence Day in the City of Duval, and encourage all residents and visitors to join in commemorating this day with respect, joy, and a renewed commitment to the principles of liberty and justice for all. The next proclamation we have this evening is for Parks and Recreation Month. Whereas Parks and Recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health and well-being of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental sustainability of our city. And whereas the City of Duval's parks, trails, open spaces, and recreational programs provide opportunities for residents and visitors of all ages and abilities to engage in outdoor activities, build community connections, and enjoy the natural beauty of the Snoqualmie Valley. And whereas July is nationally recognized as Park and Recreation Month, and 2025 marks the 40th anniversary of the celebration, which highlights the essential role parks and recreation play in the lives of people across the country. And whereas this year's theme, Build Together, Play Together, reminds us of the contributions of more than 160,000 full-time park and recreation professionals, along with hundreds of thousands of part-time and seasonal workers and volunteers who maintain our country's close-to-home parks. And whereas the City of Duval honors its dedicated parks and recreation professionals, volunteers, and community partners who work tirelessly to maintain and enhance these treasured spaces for the benefit of all. Now, therefore, I, Amy Okerlander, Mayor of the City of Duval, do hereby proclaim July 2025 Park and Recreation Month in the City of Duval, and encourage all residents to explore, enjoy, and support our local parks, and to celebrate the many ways parks and recreation enrich our lives and community. Thank you. And now we'll move on to comments for the audience. And I'll read the rules into the record. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Much easier to read that way. During the designated public commentary period within city council meetings, individuals are allotted a 3-minute speaking duration, while representatives of organizations may address the council for up to 5 minutes. Before presenting, kindly disclose your full name and city of residence. Each speaker and all remarks shall be addressed to the city council as a body and not to individual council members of council or staff. It is strongly advised by the city to submit verbal comments in written form to expedite subsequent correspondence. Written comments must be received by the city clerk's office by noon on the meeting day, addressed to P.O. Box 1300, Duval, Washington 98019, or deposited at the City Hall drop box located at 15535 Main Street Northeast, or by email. Please be aware that the city council, its boards, and its commissions solely entertain public comments from attendees present at the meeting in person. The council does not accept handouts or printed material during public commentary sessions. Information intended for the mayor or the city council shall be directed to the city clerk, who will disseminate it following the submitter's instructions. Upon receipt, the city clerk will receive written public comments and subsequently furnish them to the city council or the relevant board or commission. However, it's important to note that written comments will not be orally presented during the council or applicable board or commission meetings. Any written comments received after the new deadline for written comments will be shared with the council at the next council meeting as part of the city clerk's report. And with that, do we have any members of the audience that would like to provide public comment this evening? And so you have a list. We have Matthew Riggle. It does not say we're speaking or not. If so, can we please first podium?
I'm not.
We have several people say in. I think I'll just skip to the one that does say yes, and we have Isaac Contreras from Duval. You can approach the podium. You don't have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, dear city council members. My name is Isaac Contreras Sandoval. I'm a citizen of Duval, Washington. And I'm here today on behalf of over 100 Duvalians who have said yes to bringing safe, accessible, aquatic recreation to our community. And we think we have a plan to make it happen. The need is clear. 10 people drown daily in America's open waters. King County has experienced a very high number of preventable drownings since 2018, a total of 27 per year. 2 rivers, one of them being the Snohomish River, accounted for 17% of those preventable drownings in 2023 alone. There are over 1,000 people in King County's public learn to swim waitlist. 400 of those are in the East Side, with lakes and rivers surrounding Duval, and a 12-minute drive to the nearest pool. Our families deserve a safe alternative. So this goes beyond just safety. This also addresses economic vitality, public health, and community connection. Now, the vision we have is seniors starting their day with aquatic aerobics, children learning life-saving swim skills, families gathering for events year-round. A facility that pays for itself while also strengthening the fabric of our community. We're not asking you to live blindly. We have a phase strategy. Phase 1 would be a university partner feasibility study. One that validates that demand is there, the need is there, and that the financial projections we have are solved. Phase 2 would be a strategic partnership with the school district and with Splash Forward for potential King County aquatic levy fund. And 3 would be a minimum lovable product. This would be a modular seasonal facility, just a proof of concept to validate that this is indeed what the community wants and needs. It can be fully operational in 18 months for less than $500,000. Now, lastly, we believe this facility will reduce emergency service calls, boost property values, and put the city of Duval as a forward-thinking community that invests in its residents. I thank you all for your attention and looking forward to cooperate with you.
Thank you so much. We don't residents in those, I apologize. It's about meeting management. So we don't have anybody else signed up for public comment. If there's anybody that would like to speak that has not spoken and not signed up, you are welcome to approach the podium. Seeing none, thank you. We will move on to our next agenda of business, and that's approval of the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve this evening's consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. For information's sake, since we did not have committee of the whole, written reports and the planning calendar were in your packet under item A. Under scheduled items, we'll start with the mayor's report. First of all, I'd like to say a couple of weeks ago, I had the honor and privilege of hosting Congressman Kim Schreier for a town hall at the Riverview School District. She gave a pretty extensive update of what's going on in Congress, what the challenges are, what she is working on, for our district and the work that she's doing across the aisle to try and make sure that our farmers and businesses and those in need in the state of Washington maintain the resources and services that they so rely on. It was a great turnout. I think there were about 100 approximately that showed up to listen and ask questions. Most of the questions did surround budget, immigration, protecting people that are here in the United States legally. Unfortunately, for those that have been paying attention in the news, the United States Senate did approve a budget bill today, which will cut between 12 and 17 million people out of healthcare in our country and will most certainly lead to hundreds, if not thousands or tens of thousands of unnecessary deaths, including of infants and mothers in our communities. So it's a very big, devastating change to the federal budget with no relief to taxpayers, and in fact, higher tax burden on middle class and lower income taxpayers. As a side note to that, I do fully expect that if this budget passes the House and is signed by the president, that the Washington State Legislature will be working very diligently to try and fill the gaps where they can. Unfortunately, the revenue forecast, while better than expected, will not come close to filling that massive gap. We do have a congressional district in Eastern Washington where the overwhelming majority of residents rely on some level of federal funding, whether it's through business subsidy, agricultural subsidy, or healthcare. That's represented in the new House's business. And I would add veterans support in there as well. So this is going to have a dramatic impact, not just on the humans in our state, but also the economy, and provide some really challenging times for our state legislature. And I do expect a trickle down effect to our budget, probably a pretty significant one in cuts to state revenue that comes to the city of Duval. It'll be a short session, but there is a possibility that they'll go into special session to address it. On a more happy note, last week was the Association of Washington Cities annual conference. I want to express, first of all, my appreciation and joy of having the largest contingent from the city of Duval ever present at an annual conference, and especially in the Tri-Cities. So thank you to our city administrator, Cynthia McNabb, our clerk, John Botero, Mayor Pro Tem Ron Mercer, Councilmember Amy McHenry, and especially Councilmember Olin, who is new to the council and drove over literally for the day to participate in the conference. That shows a lot of dedication and commitment, and it was really noticed by people that we had so many folks at the conference and engaged. I'm pleased and honored to share that it was my last meeting as the Association of Washington Cities president. It was an absolutely incredible year and an honor to preside over 500 attendees at our annual meeting and contribute to the organization in a meaningful way over the last few years. I still have 6 months more to go as past president. And for those that were wondering that were there, I did cry on Friday morning at our board meeting. But it was a fantastic conference with lots of pertinent, timely information. I know I got a lot out of it, and I hope that you all did too, and definitely look forward to seeing where the city goes with the involvement in the future. Other than that, I just will note that with the 4th of July, while fireworks are still allowed in the city of Duval, there's already been some very serious fireworks injuries in Western Washington as a result of misuse or misfired fireworks. And we're still not in that danger zone in a serious manner for the dryness, that it is still a very, very serious situation in Western Washington. And so I'm encouraging folks to, if you do fireworks, stick to the safe ones and be prepared and be ready, and be ready to follow on and have everything you need on hand to take care of any dangerous situations that may arise. With that concludes my report, and we will move on to our city administrator's report.
Good evening, council, mayor, members of our community. Cynthia McNabb, here for the city administrator report. So this evening, we will start with development or public works. Excuse me. So I'll go ahead and give the public works update. So don't believe we have anyone from public. Oh, we do. Behind me. You're all there from Loretta.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, Larissa Grandel, Public Works. So we have a couple of fun things to share. The sub shades went up in Jet Park. Only 5 of the 7 were installed, to need a size adjustment. They were just a little bit too small. So those will be coming in the next couple of weeks. Our Big Rock Road 2.2 million gallon water tank consultant was selected for our capital project, for our mixing and recoding and the internal cleaning of it. The initial scope was submitted and the contract is coming to council likely at the next meeting. And then EV chargers, the project managers met on site with PSE and everything is still on board to install the EV chargers down at the Depot McCormick parking lot and on Main Street, Carrington Visitor Center. Operations updates for streets and storm. We did that large capital machinery purchase for the crawler camera and it has been deployed. The crew did their training. They're super excited about it. It's a wonderful piece of equipment. So we've started our inspections and investigations, which will lead to more efficient maintenance scheduling in the storm system. Also, it's worth noting that the locate that the crew does for our streets and storm FTEs do has taken a significant amount of their time to mark for the large fiber builds for Ziply and Comcast. And then parks updates, we've got our replacement no wake sign installed in McCormick Park, just south of the big flat area where we have all the events and stuff. And then new signs were installed at the Big Rock Ball Fields to combat the issues with our food, gum, and seeds. So it's the yellow sign. It's just a little bit more detail about please don't use these things here. And then water. We are concluding work on getting the Tote 2 supply line online. So we are at the picture of one of the crew in the vault. We're doing the meter installation and some wiring to get the PRV online and get that supply line up and running. And then we're making progress on several of our water service leak repairs. The other picture is a leak repair that actually had 2 broken cracks. We thought we fixed one. It kept leaking, there was a second. So we went and replaced the whole service line and the crew's actually excited that blue pipe, new material that we're really excited to be using. It's a little bit more flexible, a little bit more easy to use. So that this is the first service line that we've installed with this material. Next slide. And on our employee news, we had our new hire start today, our assistant city engineer position. Stephanie Sullivan joined us. We're super excited to have her. She has great experience in development review, formal design, capital project design and construction, and so much more. So we're happy to welcome her. Not it.
Are there any questions for Public Works? All right, great. We'll turn it over to Director Thomas.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of our community. For the first slide is the current development update. So thank you for adopting the ADU at the meeting before last, because it became effective today, July 1st, which was a statutory deadline. Which is obviously really good. We've also completed our phase 1 design code update. The next phase we'll start working on this summer, and that will be coming through late summer and early fall. We had a pre-application last week for a short plat, and we have a pre-application tomorrow for a larger mixed use project on 145th and First Avenue. So you would probably notice it's one of our larger open sites that's been developed currently. It does have one existing residential unit on it. Baton Creek requested a preliminary plat extension, and that was before the community examiner. So that was completed in June. The one caveat for that particular approval was that they have to be complete by the end of the year, sending very tight. And so we're going to continue to monitor that. We completed our first round review of comments for Big Rock Ridge Commercial Lot 5. So they have a development agreement that keeps kind of everybody's feet to the fire, so they're continuing to make progress. And since I did this today, Duval Village resubmitted their mixed use application today. So that'll get routed and we're super close to going to the planning commission and hearing on that project so that they can begin construction. We did a sign code enforcement sweep. It had been about 7 months since we did it, and we picked up over 100 signs in just 25% of the city. So we're gonna have to put it on our radar a little bit more than we can. Apparently nobody's noticed that we've gotten 0 calls. So I think it just kind of visual clutter at some point. And so we did that last week. We'll finish actually the next quarter tomorrow. We have been doing a lot of landscape maintenance and performance, so we're continuing to do that. Full Brothers Landscape and Farm probably our largest one. I got an estimate just so you guys have an example. It's about 6 full days of work for our consultant on that one project site to verify performance. It's a pretty big task. We will be getting an annexation petition in where you see the blue star, that's our North UGA. And then down in the lower right-hand corner, we will be bringing forward what's called municipal annexation as well for the parcels that we purchased over the last about a year and a half. We are also going to be at a meeting, I'm going to kick off with the chamber. I think that we want to do policy work for all like touch base, make sure that fine. So obviously we've talked a lot about community and comp plan this year. While council has completed their task, which we thank you, and the Community and Planning Commission, we still have a lot of work to do with our agencies, including PSOC. So stay tuned for that. We batched our project commerce last week so that they could do their final process. And the end of this week, we'll submit to PSRC, go through that process. My guess is looking at their agenda that we're probably about October before they'll have the agenda. We issued RFP, I believe it was the end of last week for our critical area update. That's another requirement or mandate from the state. So we're working on that. We're beginning our next phase of policy work. So parking impact fees, some updates to public facilities and parks, permit process, and I can just go on. There's a lot that we're still working on. So some good news, law subdivision policy, we had a reprieve. The legislature last minute, but we'll give you another couple of years to keep that. That was some breathing room. That's a pretty big bill, and it will definitely partner. So we're gonna start it early and complete it on time. Next slide. This is more of our building inspections. So last month we didn't issue any new home permits because we were waiting for final facts to happen. But we've issued 38 new residential permits this year. We don't have any to be picked up, but we do have 5 units under the review for single family and about 12 attached units. For the month, we did issue 53 permits. And then 267 year to date, which is a good number. Our inspections last month were 254. This is the time of year where we are out almost like our entire day out on inspections. We've done 1,500 inspections, and that's just in the building department. That does not include public works, just there to that machine. And you can see just on the left-hand side, we're finishing out those others. They're down to their last kind of, we'll call it a dozen or so homes. They should be probably completely done by November to maybe the end of the year. Thank you.
Great, we'll turn it over to Beth.
Good evening, Finance Director. Summer months are a time that the finance team can fit some projects into our schedule. We've got these amazing systems with FPW UKG, and there's so much functionality that we haven't before when we have attended. So we're really excited about moving out. We're going to be implementing some workflow approvals, some invoicing, taking a look at some of our processes so that we can get online. And it's all within audit compliance, documenting approval and date stamps to do away with Adobe Sign and some of
paper trail that we've had to keep before, so we're super excited about having this function. Questions for Laura or Beth?
All right, we'll move on to the city clerk's report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public, John Botero, City Clerk. So, alas, the time is here. We are saying goodbye to Verizon and getting FirstNet. Implementation will be between August 4th and 5th. Next slide. But I wanted to tell you a little more about what FirstNet is. It was established by an act of Congress, and it's essentially a nationwide broadband. It's a carrier that it's only for public safety. So cities, first responders, EMS as well. It was built with through private partnership with a public-private partnership with AT&T. And essentially what it does is that if there is an incident, most of like the other carriers, like the commercial carriers, would use a certain bandwidth. FirstNet uses a whole different bandwidth that if there is an incident, a lot of people would be likely making calls, getting on the internet, so calls get jammed. But for companies like FirstNet, because they operate on a different bandwidth, there wouldn't be as many calls because it's designed for total capacity. And well, you know, if it's say a city or a county or a state, there are a lot less people that are first responders than members of the general public. Next slide. And so one of the reasons we are switching is just to have a dedicated wireless network. As I mentioned, just so that lines don't get jammed in case of an emergency and city officials or elected officials need to speak to one another. So we won't get calls jammed. And also, it's more affordable. So the estimated savings for 1 year based on what we're currently paying for Verizon versus what we would be paying with FirstNet, it's about $20,000. So significantly cheaper, and we get essentially the same we're getting right now for our phones. And we'll have an improved mobile device manager, mobile device manager, which essentially is say someone loses a phone. If they lose their phone, we can turn it off on our end, or we can ping it and we can clean it in case it gets stolen or something like that. The current one we have, not so great. It's through Verizon. The one through FirstNet is a lot more robust. And I know that Jonathan, our admin assistant, and I are looking forward to that bit because it's a lot easier to manage. Now, how will the implementation work? Tomorrow you'll receive an instruction on how to do it. You will drop your phone off. We will port the number, do a few things with a new phone, and then you can come and pick it up an hour or two later. So hopefully there will be minimal disruption. FirstNet will have people on site to port and to do all that part of their end of the business side. And as I mentioned, the whole process should take about an hour. If you happen to be away during those 2 days, we have a contingency plan. More will be more detailed information will be available in that email. And that is about it for me. Thank you.
Questions for John?
I just wanted to make a comment and say that this is so fantastic. When we a couple of years ago, for those that were not on council, we had a utility pole fire up on 278th. And as we were we didn't have our GETS cards yet for the city, which GETS is a prioritized line, but you have to dial numbers. It's a lot more complicated to get a phone call through. And Sophia and I and others within the city literally had to get on the phone, and we were on the phone for a few seconds at a time, and finally caught up enough where Cynthia and I met at Duval Park in person to discuss what was going on. And our emergency manager wasn't able to access anything during the time. If it had been a much more serious situation, it would have put our community at significant risk by our police officers other than radio, and our staff not being able to communicate by phone, us not being able to communicate with council or send out messages to the community. So this is a huge public safety boost, in for any incidents that may occur within our community. And it's saving money is icing on the cake, especially with the increased efficiencies for our staff with managing the devices for all of us. So this is huge, and I would just want to thank our clerk and our emergency manager for moving this forward and bringing this to our community. We need it, and it's fantastic. So very excited about it. Thank you.
All right, just a few updates for me. So we've heard Comcast has agreed to sponsor Summer Stage this year, so big thank you to Comcast. They're gonna be new to our community, they're installing fiber now, and really looking forward to the engagement with them and the ability for our community to have more options for their service. So they've been a great partner so far, so big thank you to Comcast. Sorry. So one of the huge benefits of going to conferences like the Association of Washington State Conference is you learn a lot when you sit in those sessions. So Mayor Pro Tem Mercer and I attended a session with the CJTC where we talked about the process for the public safety sales tax and the grants for the public safety grants at the CJTC, which is the Criminal Justice Training Commission. Will be issuing. They have 3 years to distribute millions of dollars to cities, counties, and other agencies, sheriffs and police department on things like public safety, co-response, hiring new officers, training of our officers. So we want to make sure that when those applications are open, we're first in line. So what we're being told right now is that they anticipate those applications becoming September. Keith and I talked today, we're going to be meeting within the department. He's putting together some proposals so that as soon as the application period opens, we're ready to submit. More will come for the council to talk about the public safety sales tax. So in order to receive that grant money, the cities have to commit to doing the public safety sales tax. You are not eligible for the grant if you do not agree to do the sales tax. So we'll put that on the agenda for a more robust conversation with council this summer, well in advance of that September deadline. Summer Stage starts next week. We're really excited. Starts with prom date mixtape. We'll be giving out sunglasses again. You all got your stickers and your bookmarks. The winner are artists for the t-shirts. I don't know if you all saw online, we had a 3rd grader win the art contest for the 25th anniversary t-shirts. Those will be on sale at the first Summer Stage as well as the 4th. So next week, you'll be able to purchase those t-shirts, and we're just really excited about Summer Stage this year. So looking forward to that. We also will have our new stormwater, the exact title, stormwater coordinator. Yes. She'll also be out at our city tent doing some educational work. So we'll have a little more going on at the city tent in terms of providing educational materials. As usual, Rita will be there. We'll have emergency management there as well for Summer Stage. And then finally, with our culture grant, we were able to get awarded money to pay for movie equipment. So we'll be purchasing that soon so we can begin programming movies at the farm. So we'll now own our own equipment. So we'll be able to deploy that movie equipment at the farm more regularly and have a regular movie series for outside movies this summer and summers to come. So we're really excited about that. We'll probably do the first one in September, which will be a kickoff the Harvest Festival that we're doing with the Historical Society that we got that Washington State Tourism money for. So we're pretty excited about that. It'll be a very nice community asset that we can give and do regular programming for the community outside. And then finally, I just want to show it to you because it's magical. Next slide. So part of our grant with the Washington Board of Tourism, it's 2 parts. One was to do a harvest festival in September to highlight and celebrate our agricultural history here in Duval and celebrate our farm. So the Duval Historical Society is well on their way to planning that event. It's going to be, let me get the exact date. It's going to be September 12th or 13th, whatever the Saturday is. Let me take a look here. September 13th. So it'll be on a Saturday. We're going to have it in the afternoon and into the evening. There will be square dancing. There will be goats. There will be corn. There's going to be fruit and vegetable swap. So they've done a ton of programming so far on it. But the other piece was to create a farm passport that highlights all of our farms here in the valley. And so this is the draft of it. Talked to them on Monday about it. And so we're going to highlight 20 different farms in the area. The next page, I only have room for these two images. The third page is gonna be a fold out passport, like you can get on the ferry, you know, if you've seen those like tourism things. It will go all the way down into Carnation so we can share the wealth a little bit with our neighbor to the south. So the idea is they'll serve as a passport. So one of the pages of this will have a place for stamps. Members of the community can get a stamp at our farms and then turn it into City Hall where we'll have some prize or award. We haven't gotten that far with what the kind of swag exchange will be, but we're developing some ideas. But I wanted to show it to you because it really is just beautiful. So yeah, it's really cool. And Washington Board of Tourism money. So, great. Yeah. And that's it for me. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Questions?
We'll go ahead and move on to the state of healthcare, and we have Dr. Arturo Palazzo. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. I forgot, accidentally skipped over council.
We may have other
Forgot
council
ahead of
members that want
ourselves.
to go first.
So, any council members that would like to provide a report, you're welcome to go.
Yeah, I had two brief updates. I think I shared at the last council meeting that the Sound Cities Association committee was sort of designing their approach to legislative issues. I think the one issue that's coming over the last week, there was a certain amount of, for lack of a better word, levy tax fatigue across the cities in the area. King County is moving forward with yet another tax of 0.1% transportation tax, so that what bring forward. And so communication went out to the member cities this past week with some draft language sort of requesting King County to sort of reconsider the timing and potentially postpone that to next year. So I just wanted to sort of share that approach. I think it's pretty uniform, the sentiments across the cities with their own levy and other sales tax initiatives under consideration, that the timing may not be ideal. The other piece, the mayor and city administrator already touched on AWC. The one piece that I sort of wanted to mention specifically is I was part of the first WSELI cohort, Washington Collaborative Elected Leaders Institute. We did the handoff to the new cohort as part of the annual conference. That was a little bit of a sort of a mixed blessing. We all have really enjoyed it, but we're super excited about the next group coming in. There were a couple of spots still available, so we're trying to drum up interest amongst other cities. And then the hope is that we will have an opportunity to continue to provide them feedback or input into the process going forward. So, but it was a great conference, echoing the others' comments made today.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other council members like to speak? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and now we will move on to the state of healthcare with Dr. Arturo Palazzo, the CEO of Evergreen Healthcare, and Chris Bredderson, CEO.
Well, good evening, everyone. Mayor Kalender, City Council, City staff, it's great to be here today. I'm Dr. Arturo Palazzo. I think last time, which was last fall, Chris Bredesen, our Chief Operating Officer, joined us. And so you just get me tonight, but it's an honor to be here. I'm an internal medicine physician. I've been practicing at Evergreen Health for 22 years and have been serving as the Chief Executive Officer for a year and a half. I was the Chief Medical and Quality Officer before then. You might ask if I think it was October that we were here last or in the fall time. What could happen between then and now, that an update in healthcare is necessary? And I think we'll say a lot. And thank you for commenting on the events of today and the other Washington, because I think it's incredibly important to understand, what that means for healthcare. And for us at Evergreen Health, I serve as the CEO, the superintendent of King County Public Hospital District Number 2, also known as Evergreen Health, also known as your community-owned hospital. And we understand that we need to be here for our community and what that means. 58 years ago, the residents of this city and the 7 cities in our district came together and asked for healthcare local. And not just any healthcare. And with the pressures and headwinds that we've had in the last 5 years with the pandemic, with more on the way, frankly, that commitment doesn't change. And we advance one slide, we can look and see the mission statement and vision and values is as strong as I've ever seen it in my 22 years here, despite entering into probably the most challenging time in our history as a result of the pandemic. We were the tip of the spear. Sometimes it's great to be first in a race, being the first hospital in the country to have the first reported death of COVID-19 sets in motion, I think, something, very interesting that most hospital administrators would not choose if they had the option. But I look back on it and say it was an honor. It was an honor to get to take care of every one of those patients. We lost many of them. Many of us, are still struggling with that. But in the meantime, being able to have that opportunity to respond to a moment like that and moments that are yet to come is all about what it means to have a public hospital district in our community. I serve on the board of the Washington State Hospital Association. I work with other CEOs as we struggle to understand how do we continue to provide services at a time that access is already challenged and with more potentially on the way. And, one of the reasons that I feel confident to share with you words are as strong as ever, despite some of the headlines that I'll share with you on a slide that are challenging other organizations. The reason I think we're not on those headlines right now, and we look for a path to be here to continue to provide that excellent care, is reflected on the next slide. So if we can advance one, these are our board of commissioners, 2 of which are in the room with us today. Commissioner Campbell, one of our at-large members, Commissioner Stewart, represents our subdistrict of Bothell, right here at home at Duval, as well as Woodinville. Each one of these elected individuals in their own right are amazing and what they bring to the governance structure. But my comment a moment ago is reflected more on the concept. So when it comes time to make really hard decisions, if Medicaid goes away, we'll talk about what that means financially for the state in general, what it means for us to be able to provide healthcare, what it means to say, do we need to start looking at the profit and loss statement to make decisions about what to invest in? The reason I'm confident that we will find a way forward is because this board responds to one shareholder. It's you. It's the community. It's not Wall Street. It's not some distant corporate board that exists because of a system structure. It's because this is an independent board elected by the community that are beholden to the constituents. And so when we look at the services that are provided, we don't look at it with a dollar sign. Here's the margin. We need to invest in that. It's what does the community need using objective data, community needs assessment that King County provides us to say, this is the disease burden that we have right now. Here's where we need to shift our work. And that is, I think, very gratifying when you're in the healthcare business to be able to make decisions like that. We can move to the next slide. As a reminder, as a public hospital district, we have a geographic region. The light green colored area is King County Public Hospital District number 2, and you can see where Duval sits there. So 7 cities. Again, it was 1967 that the residents voted this concept in. With it came the original bond to build a hospital that opened stores in 1972. And then our levy, which existed from the very beginning to help with maintenance and operations, to do the investment in services that would help stabilize in times when services potentially would need to be adjusted or changed. There's about 330,000 residents in that district. There's another area outlined up above in teal. That's Snohomish County Public Hospital District number 1, also known as Evergreen Health Monroe, nearby. 2012, that hospital was struggling to stay open, and that community was at risk of losing services. Those that came before me worked together with the hospital leaders, and we formed an interlocal agreement to be able to allow Evergreen Health providers to go and provide services in Monroe. Shared leadership, we are completely separate financially. Levy bonds are completely non-interrelated between these 2 organizations, but the leadership structure and the services provided are unified in the system. Next slide. Just a reminder, so we are a municipality. We receive taxpayer dollars. We're grateful for every bit of it. It only represents 2% of our total revenue when you look at the existing levy, but it's potentially some of the most important support that we have right now to make sure that services are maintained. Next slide. I love this slide, and I promise not to read every number, but it's reflective of what we do at Evergreen Health. 4,500 plus babies delivered last year. That's the second most of any hospital in the state. Work your way across, and you can see the inpatient admissions at our world-class hospital, what we do in the spaces outside the four walls of the hospital and the clinics in our home care division, the largest in the Puget Sound. What we do for emergency visits, and I really want you to hone in on that hospice care center 15-bed unit. That is the last freestanding inpatient hospice unit in King and Snohomish County. Now, the reason it's the only one is not because that service is not needed. And for anyone who has supported someone in hospice, you know why this matters and why the graphic on the far left with bringing babies into the world, that graphic is just as important. We have a duty to help people when it's time for them to leave this planet, to care for them with dignity, with comfort. And this is the full spectrum of care, along with primary care specialty services. There are very few independent community hospitals that provide this spectrum of care. In a moment, I'll talk about the quality with which we deliver it. We never forget that we don't do this alone. Fred Hutch, world-class cancer services, are on campus with us. We have medical staff that are part of Evergreen Health that deliver those services. Seattle Children's helps with our smallest, most vulnerable, youngest patients. Big announcement today that we're expanding a partnership with them. So more of those kiddos can stay in their home region and not have to travel across the lake when they need specialty services. That is brand new as of literally today. Next slide. I sometimes say when you look at where we're at in sponsoring, that photo in the bottom is actually from Duval Days. Probably one of the best 5 hours I have spent in the last year. Commissioner Campbell was with me there, and being out where the community is, you're not going to see the Evergreen Health name on a professional sports jersey. It's not how we spend our money. It's not how we sponsor. We are sponsoring those community areas that are important to the community, and it feels good to do that, but also an understanding of what that commitment means beyond just those care items that you saw on the slide before with the hospitalizations and the admissions. Next slide. This levy that I described, of the 38 public hospital districts in the state that have a general levy, we are one of the few, if not the only one, that reinvests those levy funds beyond just maintenance and operations, and they're called out here. So $6.2 million went back to community programs, both internal and external to the hospital, to make sure that services that are absolutely essential are funded, and includes youth mental health in our schools, making sure our seniors have excellent clinical care in a geriatrics clinic, but also supporting senior centers in our district, social determinants of health for those individuals that are underserved and need additional assistance to get services. Maybe they don't have insurance. More of those patients will exist as Medicaid evolves and potentially changes. And so having a service to connect them with the services that are out there important. And then end of life care, palliative care and hospice care center medicine. Unfortunately, it's not profitable. It should be one of the most important things we invest in, but we have to find other ways to make sure we have that service available through the levy. Next slide. All right, it's one thing to provide an extensive spectrum of care. It's another to do it in the best way we know how. This one is very simple. As a physician, as I'm caring for patients, if I were on the other side of that, or it was my mom or my child, what kind of care would I want to receive? And I'm going to tell you, it needs to be the very best I can give. That has been the philosophy at Evergreen Health for decades. And as a result, the acknowledgements are reflected here. Every hospital in the country, whether you like it or not, are ranked based on outcomes. You come and get your hip replacement at a surgery center, they will look and see what is the likelihood that you will have a good outcome and no complications. We have been listed for many years as one of the 50 best hospitals in the country, top 1%, the only one in Washington State. There are multiple other groups that rank us. That one with a letter grade in green, that's Leapfrog. Twice a year, we get a letter grade based on our outcomes and process measures. 13 consecutive cycles, Evergreen Health has been A-graded. Medicare and Medicaid have a star rating. If we advance to the next slide, you can see they grade very, very hard. This is the data from Leapfrog on May 1st of this year. I will not label every single hospital here, but you can kind of get a sense of where folks are. Those that aren't A hospitals doesn't mean they're not fantastic. In fact, we have some of the best healthcare in Puget Sound anywhere in the country. But meanwhile, Leapfrog is aggressive at how they grade this. And so Evergreen has shown very, very well in this rating system. On the next slide, to wrap up the quality, if you look at the health grades, Leapfrog and CMS consecutive years, there are only 11 other hospitals in the country that have achieved this. I would argue that if we had data going back for consecutive years, that list would be even shorter. I promise I'm not saying that we're better than the Mayo Clinic, UCLA, Stanford. I am telling you that this list is ordered alphabetically and everybody starts with an E. So we get to be at the top of the list on that. But all joking aside, we take quality and safety seriously, and it's reflected. Most importantly, if I took this slide down and we went on a field trip to the hospital right now, the staff doing the work would say, Dr. Palazzo, that's fantastic, but we know we can do it better. And that's how we ended up on this list. Next slide. All right, I talked about good news, and there's challenging news. This is from the Washington State Hospital Association over the last 4 years. Of all the hospitals in the state, we have had significant operating losses to the tune of almost $5 billion. It's gotten better. The shaded area on the 2024 reflects what would and would not be if Medicaid changed significantly. So an understanding, especially relevant with what's going through the other Washington right now. It's a simple math equation. We get reimbursed from the insurance companies and the government payers at a fixed rate. We get to negotiate some of that, not with the government, but as inflationary pressures go up, labor costs, pharmaceuticals, it just turned into an upside down situation. And a lot of folks said, you have a hospital full of COVID patients. How could you be losing money? Unfortunately, despite the fact that those are some of our most challenging patients, we get reimbursed 80 cents on the dollar for a typical medical patient like a sick COVID patient. At Evergreen Health, we're very proud to say that our operational financial stability has improved significantly last year. A significant turnaround from renegotiating insurance contracts and working on operational efficiencies. So we're building cash again, and that's continuing through this year, but it's coming out of a deep, deep hole. Next slide. These are the headlines. This was from May. These are very, very concerning. We knew we had a very difficult state budget, and some of the challenges in the work that our legislators needed to do to balance the budget had an effect on healthcare. The delay in Medicaid payment this year that didn't come through until May set all hospitals back significantly. Those payments did start coming in May, so that's good. The bottom right gives you a sense, $700 million potential loss if Medicaid changes dramatically, which it appears some sort of change is going to happen, depending on what this ultimately looks like. Remember, Medicaid funding goes away doesn't mean those patients don't still need care. We're going to take care of every single one of them. That's our job. That's our duty. It just means how we get reimbursed or not at all affects the finances. And some hospitals are making really challenging decisions, like you see, closure of clinics, closure of floors. That's reality happening right now in Puget Sound. The next slide gives more headlines from literally June. And these are the cuts that are starting to happen. These are not management positions. These are frontline clinical positions that are affecting patient care. And I will guarantee you, especially with today's announcement and concerns, more of these headlines will be coming. I am going to try and do everything in my power, along with our board, to keep us off these headlines. No one can ever make promises, but the bottom line is we are going to do everything we can to be here to provide the services that I showed you on that slide, the full spectrum. Next slide. I'll wrap up, I promise. I know I'm using probably too much of my time. Other hospitals are dealing with this issue by consolidation. So if they can't do it on their own, they're partnering with others. We used to have many independent hospitals in Washington State. We're down to really only 4 hospital systems. You see 5 listed on here. Kaiser is on the list. They don't operate hospitals in Washington. They, of course, acquired Group Health, but you look across the spectrum and there's really only 4 hospitals or 4 health systems. 2 are secular, 2 are religious. Overlake, our friends just 10 miles south of us, were the most recent hospital that was independent that needed a partner with a larger system, MultiCare. Evergreen's not on this list, and we are one of the last, if not the last, independent hospital on the west side of the state. Next slide. So 1972 looked really different than from today. 22,000 residents back then. The levy that was approved by the residents at that time was at the statutory maximum, 75 cents per $1,000. Now, advancing to 2025, we're at 330,000 residents. The levy has decreased to a rate of 14 cents per 1,000. And that's the result of the fact that as the tax base has grown, we've grown a lot. Property values, as everyone knows, including out here in Duval, have gone up. But from a statutory standpoint, the levy can only go up by 1% per year unless it's voted on through a levy lid lift. And so this is our situation. Most public hospitals deal with this growth and sustainment of the services by going out and asking for periodic levy lid lifts. Evergreen Health has never done that. We've done bond campaigns. We have never done a levy lid lift. And being mindful, there's more information about that for a city council meeting and making sure that the appropriate information is on the agenda for the public to be aware of. There's more information coming about what Evergreen Health is focusing on in that space, but we'll save that separately given the audience here. Next slide. This just gives you a sense. There's 57 public hospital districts in the state. 38 have formal hospitals associated with them. You might say, well, how can you have a public hospital district without a hospital there? Some regions will have EMS services, a nursing home, a clinic, but not a hospital. So of those 57, 38 have hospitals, 37 have a regular levy. Evergreen Health currently is tied for the lowest of the levy rate. Average levy for public hospitals is around 40 to 42 cents right now for the state. Next slide. I pulled this from, we do this for every one of our cities, the 7 in the district. And so you can get a sense of what your tax dollars look like relative to the other things that we pay for. And I think it just sort of gives a sense of, what might be important to you. I know personally, my kids grew up here in the district, Kirkland. They are no longer in public schools. I look at my percentage, which looks very similar to this for schools. I personally think that's important, even if my kids aren't there anymore, because strong school system makes sense for community. I have not gone to the library in a long time. I embarrass myself every time I say this, but I like having strong libraries. So in the context of where a public hospital sits on what we invest in with our property taxes, I think is important to think about, and this slide I think reflects that. All right, wrapping up. If you're interested to learn more about what we're doing to focus on stabilization, how we're going to address changes coming forward, we have that on our website with additional information about the public hospital, about the levy. And I just appreciate the time today. This is important to us. It's personally deeply important to me when I think about my family members getting care at Evergreen, being a doc that's taking care of thousands of patients there, and now getting to support the hospital in this role. It's the honor of a lifetime, even in the most challenging of circumstances. I'll stop my presentation there, but I'm absolutely happy to answer questions the council might have for me.
Council have any questions?
Not as much question, maybe a comment. I appreciate the work you've done. As a family with younger children that now are older, we've taken advantage of the services. I think as the mayor said, particularly challenging times. Your comments around, even with the changes still serving the community, I think goes a long way in terms of being part of the community, finding opportunities to be agile and flexible in sort of challenging times. But again, just want to thank you for the work that you and the board have done in terms of engaging directly with our community and also being part of our community events as well. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Do you have one?
No.
I'd like to make one, and that is, I know firsthand the importance of having a public health district and having a health system that serves all people, no matter their health condition. 10 years ago, last month, I had a serious medical condition. If I'd gone to a religious hospital, I probably would not have been told the truth about my medical condition, and I probably would have died. No joke. 2 liters of blood lost with an internal bleeding when I had a tube burst inside my body. And Evergreen Health saved my life. They've saved so many people's lives and brought so many things and health and safety to people in our community. What doesn't get talked about in the news, and then I know it's difficult for Dr. Palazzo in his position to discuss, is that this consolidation is actually significantly impacting healthcare, in particular women's healthcare and end-of-life healthcare. It's taking away choices. It is providing the opportunity for medical providers to skirt the law and not share what's actually going on with people's medical conditions and get away with it and cause significant harm under the guise of, frankly, religious doctrine. And so regardless of what you think about religion or anything else in this context, I know that most people I know that are super, super religious would still want their lives saved, and they would want accurate, timely medical information with the opportunity to make decisions. And that's another really big core reason why Evergreen Health is so important to our community. I can't say enough about the services that they provided to our community. When I moved here, we didn't have Evergreen Healthcare. Evergreen Health having access for our community to have access to a hospital just across the border, that seems huge. It may not seem like much of a difference, but that difference between 5 minutes saved going to Monroe to going to Kirkland can make a huge difference in somebody's comfort level as well as their access to treatment. And the fact that we are only paying 1.7% of our property tax dollars to this service is absolutely incredible with the services they provide, as well as the private money that they also bring on board to help provide services and the partnerships that they do. I definitely am interested in learning more about this, the new children's partnership at a later date, but I just wanted to share my gratitude. And I know many people in our community whose lives have been saved by Evergreen, and whose end of life care has been top notch as a result of Evergreen as well and everything. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you, Dr. Colson. All right, and we're moving on to our last item of business this evening, Agenda Bill 25-32, amended interlocal agreement with Eastside Fire and Rescue. For discussion and decision, Brian Keller.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brian Kaler, and virtually is Jeremy Hicks, who's our fire marshal, who also co-helped present on June 3rd council meeting. We're here to discuss Agenda Bill 25-32, the amendments to the interlocal agreement with Woodinville Fire. For discussion, staff did receive some comments from council, so appreciate that. And so we have that in the slide, and so we're just going to go through those, and then hopefully get some direction from council to staff with these comments or changes. Next slide. Okay, this would be for an insert for new. The comment would go to section 1.2 for fees. The fee audit, the city reserves the right to audit the district's fees, collections, retention, and remittance records on an annual basis to verify the alignment with the fee resolution and cost recovery expectations. The district shall provide relevant support documentation within 30 days of such request. We did send these comments over to Woodinville Fire, and we did have some quick response, which was nice. So we can provide that feedback as well. And so for this comment, staff, we do agree to this proposal. So if council's okay with that, right? Next slide, please. This has to do with modifying a current section 2.3 for inspections. Some of the original language was the district shall conduct inspections within the scope of this agreement when and as it deems appropriate in its discretion. The proposed revision is the district shall conduct inspections within the scope of this agreement in accordance with a mutually agreed inspection schedule and in a manner consistent with adopted city priorities and industry standards. The city reserves the right to request prioritization of specific properties or offices. For staff's comments, we do agree to this language. It's agreeable in accordance with the industry standards. Also on a side note, when we do our building code adoption every 3 years, we do have the administrative code that we adopt. It's the state building code council. We amend that part of that section. And part of that adoption is the state language within the IRC that we can implement for that section. And then as well, the city reserves the right to request the prioritization. Next slide, please. Let's see. So I guess we want to go through the comments. We go back to that. Sorry, previous one. For council direction.
Are there any objections to council from that change? Seeing none.
I propose modifying section 2.32B, immediate danger. Original language is the district shall immediately contact the city and may post a stop work order or other emergency order at the district's discretion. The proposed revision, the district shall immediately contact the city. The city retains exclusive authority to issue stop work or emergency orders, except in cases of immediate life safety hazard, in which case the district may post a temporary notice and shall notify the city within 24 hours. Some staff recommendations, current language aligns with the adopted IFC, which I mentioned. And that code section is 113.1 authority. Where the fire code official finds any work regulated by this code being performed in a manner contrary to the provisions of this code, or in a dangerous or unsafe manner, the fire code official is authorized to issue a stop work order. However, absolutely amendable to adding this language that we inform the city, and that's some feedback from Eastside Fire. In our current practice, this is how we do it if it's jointly. So in the case of an immediate danger, or I'm notified immediately from the fire marshal, and then if we do our inspections, we jointly provide a stop work order through both municipalities.
Are there any objections to leaving it as is?
Leave that one as is, okay. Next slide, please. Comment. So this will be new, add to section 2.4 for city assistance. We can possibly create a 2.5. So we just put it under 2.4.4 of the ILA, final authority on code interpretation. In the event of a disagreement between the city and the district regarding the application or interpretation of the International Fire Code or this agreement, the city's determination shall prevail, or the more stringent of the two shall prevail. Staff comment, no recommended changes. We understand the proposal. However, under the IFC section 104.1, the fire code official has the authority to render code interpretations. So it'll stop.
Say no, head nuts.
Okay. Okay, next slide, please. In addition to section 3, building and fire plan review, an additional final paragraph. This proposed, the city reserves the right to review the timelines and accuracy of the district's plan review activities annually and request corrective action if average review timelines exceed 30 business days, or issues are documented regarding the quality or consistency of code applications. Staff recommendation, this is captured under section 3 timelines and section 4. Administration of contract, city administrator and fire chief shall jointly and cooperatively administer this agreement. If we go beyond the 21 days, we will set up a meeting to discuss any needed adjustments. Recommend no changes.
Just a question on that, if I may. And I just want to clarify that the staff recommendation here, if we go beyond 21 days, we will set up a meeting. That's sort of the understanding, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, no, it is under our plan review. We have a time tracker on it. And so once
That's what I want to make sure it's codified or captured within.
yeah,
that.
within
Okay, thank you.
section, an added section to 6, termination, the new paragraph. Upon notice of termination, the district shall cooperate in good faith with the city to ensure an orderly transition of responsibilities. All open inspections, unresolved code violations, and in-progress reviews shall be documented and transferred to the city within 30 days of termination. Both Woodville Fire and staff, our city staff agree to this language. So we've got orders.
Any objections?
Objections to that, yeah.
Okay.
Slide, please. Modifying section 7, indemnification. Add this new paragraph. So the proposal is to add it after the current clause. The district further agrees to identify, defend, and hold harmless the city from any claims, losses, or damages resulting from failure to perform inspections, identify or report code violations, or complete plan reviews in a timely manner, except to the extent caused by the city's own neglects or willful misconduct. Recommend this language is captured in the original identification section under each parties. So we're recommending no changes.
Okay, Councilmember.
So this is actually the section that raised the most concern for me. When I went through the contracts, and I got to the indemnification clause. We're contracting with Louisville Fire to provide the service, but if something goes wrong, there's no pay for DeWalt. And so of course, we have to trust them. That's the purpose of working with them. So we trust that they're going to do the job. But if they don't, if they miss something somewhere, they're completely exempt from any responsibility if they miss something, it's part of the inspection, so I just feel like some protection is important in this on our behalf. I don't know the proper wording for that, but.
Let's see, administrator, I guess. So when, so I wasn't involved in conversations with Woodinville Fire. Did Woodinville Fire object to the added language or?
Oscar's on, and he reviewed the updated changes while the other way in.
All right, City Attorney Ray.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in because I think I understand the issue here. And I think what the district is saying, and I'm just going to read the current indemnification provision in the contract. It says, each party with respect to the services provided under this agreement agrees to indemnify, defend, and hold the other party harmless from any and all claims for personal injury, property damage, costs, and reasonable attorney's fees, et cetera. And so there's already a reciprocal indemnification provision in the contract that in which each party agrees to indemnify the other for its negligence that may come up. And I think what the district is saying, and I think I agree with the district's position, is that indemnification provision already sort of covers the issues that are raised by the proposed language that's been proposed.
We had Chief Hicks wanted to respond as well.
Oh, yeah, he's.
Go to you, Mayor Pro Tem, after that.
He went away. Sorry. No.
Go ahead, Chief Hicks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna elaborate a little bit as the city attorney did. I wanted to make sure that that point was made, and I think he took care of it. So nothing further for me.
Yeah, my question, I think, was just a question kind of for Oscar, and I think it echoed a little bit what Councilmember Owen was going for. It wasn't necessarily the cross-party indemnification. It was if there was a material oversight on behalf of the district doing the inspection, if the city had any protection, given that they didn't do the inspection was done on their behalf by fire district. I think that's where you were coming from. And I don't know myself in terms of how that works, but I just wanted to clarify. I think that's where the concern came from, or that's what I interpreted.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I guess let's go back to City Attorney Ray to see if he had anything to add to that.
Yeah, I would simply add that the cross-party indemnification, in my view, would require the district to indemnify, defend, and hold the city harmless for any negligent acts that it might that may come up. And so so my earlier point was simply that the concern raised by the proposed addition, in my view, seems to be covered by the cross-party indemnification provision.
Thank you.
Everyone on board with that now? There's been some more.
Okay.
Great. I know the indemnification clauses on these types of contracts are sometimes a little bit different than private industry, but I will say this is pretty common in the contracts that I work on too. So from the government side. But it is a little different when you're not having that same type of business relationship. So thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. I believe that's the last slide. There's one more. Okay. So thank you for your guys' comments, the council members' comments. And let's see, and modify the ILA. We'll bring council next council meeting.
So to simplify things, I'm going to ask council if those changes that we all agreed to are made. Are you all right with this one on the consent agenda for the next meeting?
Yes.
Excellent. No objections to that. And with that, we have no further business, so we are adjourned at 8:17 p.m. Everybody. Happy 4th of July.